Okay. Okay, great. So welcome to April 20th version of the SIG CLI biweekly meeting. My name is Sean Sullivan, and I'll be moderating for you today. Let's start with the announcements. There's quite a few of them. So the version 124 release has been delayed. And this is going to affect us because our code's not going to be able to get in until we, after that gets shipped, and then the code will be unfrozen. But it's going to be delayed until Tuesday, the 3rd of May. I've put a couple other items on there to give us an idea of how we can track how this release is going out. I just saw that the release candidate 0 just went out yesterday, and next Tuesday we should have release candidate 1 with the official release on Tuesday, the 3rd of May. So my understanding was that this particular delay was due to our kind of aggressive use of version 118 of the Golang language, and we need to use 118.1, which leads me into my next announcement, which is please update your development environment to Go version 118.1. We're not using 118.0. This is the one that had the problem with the certificate signing requests, which caused the delay of Kubernetes 124. And you can have a look at the at that particular link if you'd like, which talks about the Kubernetes community moving to Go version 118.1. So I'm going to actually stop there for just 1 second to ask if anybody else has anything to add about this delay and the Golang update, if anybody else has heard anything or would like to share anything else. Okay, let's move on to the next item. The next item has to do with a proposal by the tech lead for the SIG API machinery, who's asking all of the Kubernetes developers to basically raise the bar higher. There's been some reliability issues with Kubernetes. Let me open the document so that you can have, oh no, I don't have access to it as this user. Okay. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to open that. Please open it yourselves, or if you can't, please request access. So as I mentioned, this is another tech lead from another SIG asking us to basically raise the bar on our reviews, and the examples that he uses are that we should not allow, or is asking us not to allow PRs to be submitted without tests. So if somebody asks to add tests in a separate PR, Daniel's position is that we shouldn't allow that in the near term, and that any argument which is that a particular PR is not making the code any worse is also not a particularly convincing argument that we should be ensuring that the code base has sufficient test coverage and the code base is getting better because of these reliability issues.
Yeah, it's probably worth adding that this is basically in line with the overall approach of increasing the reliability of the entire platform. You've probably seen emails from Wojciech and a couple other folks introducing caps for increased reliability. So this is more about the ask towards all the reviewers and approvers to ensure that every single code addition change is properly covered with sufficient tests. If possible, is adding extra tests to the area that you are that the submitter is expanding or building or fixing. This way, slowly we will be improving the test coverage. Or if you know that the test isn't reliable enough or isn't covering the entire area, improving, so a greater focus on increasing the stability of the platform as a whole, basically.
Yeah, this was only shared with the lead so far, but I think Daniel will be sending it to DevAt, so that's where everyone else will see it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll have to update that link. My apologies. Okay, so the next announcement is that tomorrow we have a community meeting, and I put some information for us there, including the Zoom link and the draft agenda. So if you'd like to meet some of your colleagues at a wider context than just the SIG CLI, please join our community meeting. I think it happens once a month. Is that correct, Mache or Eddie?
If I remember correctly, so yeah. If you haven't opened the link, two topics that are probably worth calling out that I quickly glanced through the agenda earlier today is that there will be discussion about the team lead versus chair separation and discussion about terms for chairs. Currently, we don't have any bound terms for how long can you be a chair. There has been several discussions in the past 2-3 years, basically, about various approaches and so forth. So if you're interested in the topic, or you want to add some valuable inputs, feel free to join the community meeting.
Great. Hope to see you there. So let's move on to introductions. This is the part of the meeting where you can we can actually get to know others that we haven't met yet, and to hopefully make it a little bit more collaborative by raising a profile of folks who might not get much exposure. So and of course this is just optional. So if you haven't been here, or if it's been a long time, this is the opportunity to say hi.
I can jump in here and introduce myself. So hello all, my name is Corey Jacobson, long-time Kubernetes user, big advocate of Kustomize, and yeah, just generally really passionate about developer experience and good documentation. And yeah, looking forward to helping however I can in this SIG.
Welcome.
Welcome. We can certainly use some help on the customized side, so it's good to hear.
Yeah, hi. So this is my first time joining this call. I probably started like working on some issues, reviewing some like ongoing issues and contributing through some PRs to kubectl. So just wanted to see how we proceed here. So join this call. Hello.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you. If I might ask, how is your name pronounced Harjas?
Harjas, yes.
Harjas. Great.
Yes.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet new timers and also to see old timers. And so why don't we go to the topics? So Eddie, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, I just had two quick ones, hopefully. So this PR by Philip, we've been talking over Slack, and they want to make kube control rollout status support multiple entries. Their PR actually doesn't add the recursive flag like they mentioned, but I was actually okay with this, and I wanted to know, does anyone know the history behind the restrictions we have to only allow a single resource when multiple could work and not cause a problem?
Probably the only historical thing, the only historical background that I can think of is we started with single resources, and that's how it got copied to the majority of them. And then eventually, because we started playing with files or directories, we allowed ourselves to work with several. I guess a lot will depend on the per command basis. There will be some commands where it's perfectly fine to work with several resources, but there will be others where I will be very cautious doing so. So per se, no, that as long as it works the same as it did before, it's perfectly fine to add this functionality there.
Cool.
I quickly glanced through the code. The code looks reasonable. It basically reuses the usual pattern where we have the visitor and then just apply the code to every single resource. That's perfectly fine. So yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, they originally, I think they thought that the recursive flag was working, but it actually wasn't. But I told them I was totally fine with not having to require the recursive flag. I said the behavior seemed good, so I'm glad you agree.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, just nobody fixed it before. Nobody complained. But I wouldn't say that this. Oh yeah, we will accept every single PR. It will always depend on a per command basis, but most of them should be perfectly fine, especially those that are viewing or I don't know, giving you information rather than modifying. For those is perfectly fine as long as the picture isn't somehow murky because I'll be throwing so many information. Even if you do, theoretically, even if you do describe, let's say, I don't know, if you do kubectl describe pods, even with an all all namespaces, that will work and it will actually generate a ton of requests, but it will describe all the pods it can find in your cluster. So does it make sense? Yeah, I probably would argue. What's the value of, I don't know, describing 100 plus pods? But there will be some cases where it does make sense, like, I don't know, in a couple node cluster doing describe nodes. Yes, it will generate quite a few requests because describe node is pretty heavy in the requests, but it's fine. And it can be reasonable, thing to do.
Cool. Any other thoughts on that? Okay. So the next thing is, so we have SKU tests that are testing -1 version of Kubernetes against the master branch. This has been the source of many release blocking issues that have come up in the past couple weeks and months. I kind of quietly fixed these, and it just turns out that like someone merged a PR and they changed a test, but the test isn't backported, but the code base has changed, right? So basically the fix here is usually to backport the test to a previous branch, which always feels wrong to me, but it sounds like we do it way more often and it's a normal thing. Yamache's nodding his head. The question I want to bring up and the conversation I really want to have is around, I think these used to be run on pre-submit as opposed to periodic like they are now. They run twice a day on master. And we only usually find this at release time when the release tags get updated. So there are these tags in GCS that are like cade stable -1, which is like the -1 branch. And whenever these get updated, usually is when the skew tests start failing on master blocking. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to catch these or if we want to run these on pre-submit, but yeah, they usually creep up right when those tags are cut.
Okay, can we, because and I'll be honest, I rarely or almost never look at the post submits. That's probably why we creep those in. Can we make the SKU job to be a at least informing job, but only for kubectl related changes? If I remember correctly, Pro has an option to trigger a job based on the directories that are being changed. Given that the majority of the code that we have lives under staging kubectl, we could easily trigger them, and we could even potentially make them required for all of kubectl changes. This will be especially important for us once we will go to separate repo, or we will be potentially thinking about releasing on a different cadence, and that will imply that we'll have to support more than just ±1 release. So probably something like that would be a reasonable approach, I guess.
Yeah, the problem is that it only happens when the tags get updated. So until those tags, that's how we're determining what a version skew is when they cut the new tag, it's still the same test. It's just that file that it's grabbing the check, the git tag version to be testing against updates. And that's when it's actually doing the skew testing.
Okay. Isn't there a test that could just, I don't know, set up a 123 cluster and run the current master against whatever is the latest 123? That would be a reasonable skew test, because you always run the previous, the previously released, and you're always getting the master because that's what we run from the current PR.
So we can absolutely do that, but that means we'll have to keep track of those tags ourselves, most likely.
Okay.
Which is fine. We can do that, but maybe we can have some jobs that open PRs to update those, right? But you see that's the problem, is it's all dependent on those tags. Which, I actually have the docs on. Let me paste these in here because I always forget where this lives. I'll put it in here and then I'll put it in the doc.
The test intra PR that you had linked in one of the issues.
No, this one. There's a docs page actually. SIG release Kubernetes version.markdown.
Oh, I've seen you were talking about it in the SIG release or release management channel.
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about with those tags.
Okay.
So maybe this is a bigger thing that we need to talk about with SIG release, but yeah, it's just, we only find these things because the tags get updated, and that's when the actual skew testing happens. So the answer also could be there's nothing we can do about it. We just got to fix it when it comes up. But yeah, that's when I start getting, blown up by failing test grid jobs and paged. And it's like, oh, something happened here.
Well, in the worst case, what will happen is, for example, we will create this job against 123 master, 123, and we'll continue keeping the master as is, or whatever is the current PR. So the worst thing that can happen is we will not update this skew test to run against 124, which basically means we automatically keep on running this against 123, which is kind of good thing until we get a failure, at which point we should be able to pick up, oh yeah, we forgot to update the tag. But that's not a bad thing, I guess. It will be by accident, we will be expanding the requirements for skew testing.
I know we talked in the last leads meeting about I know Josh Burkus brought this up about doing better SKU testing and in general. So maybe I'll sync with him too and see if he has ideas here. I just wanted to put this on people's radar because it's usually, not an actual master blocking problem, but it just starts failing. So.
Yeah, but if you do it on a master, you could easily nail it down to a specific PR rather than only after. But yeah.
Yeah, this kind of fits into that theme we were talking about earlier with the reliability. I had also seen a particular entreaty from DIMS asking to try to fix some flaky tests.
Yeah, I took a look at his list and I don't think our jobs are on there.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I was as well.
I wonder if we could make use of that splitting out the flags and options umbrella PR to kind of address some of the testing as well, because we're already making all these updates to all of these subcommands. Adding a lot of tests would be helpful. I've been trying to add more as I go with my little section of it.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like for that rollout PR, Philip is working on the test suite for right now because I don't think we had any tests for that command. So,
oh my god, the changes for the set one, like that PR is 95% tests.
Cool. Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, Eddie. Should we move to the next topic if there is one? I don't see that there is. We're going to have plenty of time for stand-ups today. If anybody would like to stand up. I think I missed out last time on asking if Kui wanted to mention anything in a stand-up. Is there anyone from Kui who would like to say anything today? No.
oh, we have our KubeCon talk we actually have to put together. I just remembered that the other day. So if anyone has things they want to hear about or topics they think we should talk about or work that they did that we'd like to highlight in our KubeCon State of the SIG CLI, please let us know for sure.
So this is in the KubeCon Europe, correct? It's coming up in May, or
Yes.
because they've also asked for requests for proposals for KubeCon in Detroit in North America already. Okay, well, why don't we give you back your time? Thanks, Eddie, for dropping those topics in at the last minute and bringing up those important items. So before I bring this to a close, I'll ask if there's anything else anybody would like to bring up. Okay, we really
I'm
appreciate
working
you.
on a. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
I'm working on a draft PR for the splitting the flags out from the options thing. Though I think we talked about it last time. I can drop a link in the Slack channel.
Slack channel, great.
Yeah.
Did you have a look at the wait command? I think that was the.
Yeah, I
kind of
pretty much
example
copy
that I
pasted from that.
Okay, great. I'll have a look at that. Okay. Thanks for your time. And we'll see you. Actually, next week is the bug scrub. Is that correct, Eddie? Okay. Thank you very much.